Good morning, everybody. Video dialogue 5,300 million trillion quadrillion. So, yeah, interesting dialogue I had last night over my post about whether or not laws are facts. And the one thing about jelly juice is you're going to separate fact from feeling. The difference between facts and feelings. Hold on, let's see. The difference between facts and feelings are the very foundation of the legal system. And this is why lawyers get trained for a while, because they have to learn the difference between what your opinion about something is and what is a legal fact. Okay? And so your debate skills will get really, really good as you stay on J Juice, especially when you understand the different arguments out there, especially around drugs and controlled substances versus salt, which is not. And so I could tell who the trolls are on my Facebook when they're always coming out of the woodwork and trying to dispute my information. I had to figure out exactly where this chick was coming from. But then I realized, yeah, that's right. She is probably a pot smoker. So what it is that someone disputed that I said something about laws or facts, and that if J juice was poisonous, it would be a controlled substance. And when somebody, is a drug addict, they smoke a lot of pot or do anything else that is under a controlled substance, they don't see it as deadly. And of course, you're not going to see it as deadly. You don't see prescription drugs as deadly. It's the same thing. When you switch from a prescription drug to cannabis, that's just trading one drug for another. Okay. And so when it's a controlled substance, it is deemed deadly in some way, shape, or form. And so, yeah, so it was interesting when I said, name me a law that isn't a fact. And then she brought up the Mary Jane laws. And I'm just like, this is funny. This is interesting. Okay. And so I said, hey, what laws and facts are is it's a statement of being. It is or it isn't. There isn't anything in between. And so anything, so I was over that. That was fine. And it's funny that then she came back and said something about how salt is deadly or something. And I'm like, oh, that's rich. Okay. Whatever. But the funny thing is, I didn't dream last night. I didn't dream the night before. I haven't dreamed probably since I came out and figured out some stuff about racism in my own family. I stopped dreaming ever since I let go of people who were undermining me. People who really didn't want a relationship with me. They wanted to shape me. They wanted to find ways to make me feel bad for the path that I chose. Never really give me, a real kudos that I was looking for. So I haven't dreamed ever since that. I've been very abundantly productive. I have been so on point with my arguments, and I'm writing, and everything is pouring out of me, like all of my thoughts, and even just going and correcting my writing. Like, I'll have like a whole run-on sentence, and then I'll go and break up that run-on sentence, and I'll create my own laws. Okay, if I have two double-spaced lines that are like one whole sentence and there's a comma, I will look and try to break it up if I can. And so it's like it's like I'm just so on point. And so, so I'm actually living my dreams. See, what dreams are is just all your biochemistry completely just swirling around and nowhere to go, unresolved issues, because dreams are unresolved issues, imbalances in your biochemistry, and it has to have an outlet. So when you're sleeping, that is your outlet. That's when your body's going through its reparations, it's going through its reparative state. It is trying to calibrate and recalibrate your biochemistry, and some of you are not allowing it to do it. And so where does these chemicals go, or where does this chemistry go? Well, it really, it tries to leave, or it goes in and causes more imbalances in your body, mind, and spirit. And then your unresolved issues then come through dreams. So that's why when you guys have an issue, or you have something that's going on, like a lot of conflict in the universe, whether it's your universe or out there, some of you will have dreams about it, and really vivid ones. I remember the dreams I had a couple of years ago when I was really doing the J juice and going through the healing process. I had some major vivid dreams. They're like blue and white and floating, and oh my God, dreams of my parents. I mean, I had dreams like all over the place. And now they're pretty much non-existent because I'm living in the present. I'm not living in unresolved issues. I'm not living for the future. I'm living in the present. And I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what I want. I understand balance. I get it. Am I perfect at everything? No, but it's always a constant adjustment to your environment, because there's always things out there going to influence you. And you have to take it in, absorb it, breathe in the revolutions of other people, and then breathe out evolution. And that's exactly my premise. That's exactly where I'm at right now, where I'm breathing in all the revolutions of the world, whatever they are, and I'm breathing out evolution. And it's not always going to go over very well, people, because it's like, and people say, oh, yeah, I want to leave the system. Like I was on Luke Rudowski's page. He's the leader of We Are Chained or something. And, they were saying, well, when are we going to get some people to go off the grid and get all the intelligent people to go and, and live somewhere and be on a commune? I'm like, what's the point of recreating a system that you're fighting? You created the system. Like all of you guys created the system. And what's the point in leaving a system that you created only to recreate another system, like reinventing the wheel? And boy, it's like some people were like really, really incensed about that, because they're like, it is like, you're challenging somebody's truth. And so what J Juice does is you'll be challenging not only your own truth, but you'll be challenging everybody else's truths out there, because you're so logical. And logic is not welcome with people who are emotional. So that's one of the other things about J Juice. When you're so well balanced, you'll come from logic and you'll bring an emotion when it's appropriate, but it's not going to be it's not going to cloud your thinking. It's not going to cloud your judgments. Okay. And so I noticed that translates in when I'm sleeping. Like I was up hella late last night, and I was hanging out with my husband for a minute. He was eating like some top ramen, and I ate a few crackers and went to bed. I didn't eat that much last night. But so that's why woke up, and well, I didn't really wake up, but I just kind of like, because I was already up watching a movie. I was watching a movie about somebody lost at sea, which is it was a pretty good movie. And then I went downstairs and was like, hey, what's going on? Because he just came back in from fixing his truck. And then we hung out for a minute, and then I went back upstairs and watched some TV and then go to sleep. But it was just like, no dreams. No dreams. Because, yeah, dreams are ways that your body resolves things, comes to terms with things. That's what dreams are. And so when you finally resolve your issues, when you finally evolve to the next level where you've really resolved your body, mind, and spirit, like I resolved my body issues, I resolved my mind issues, I resolved a lot of my spiritual issues. So now it's just living for today. It's enjoying today, living for today, not worry about yesterday, not trying to resolve yesterday's issues, not trying to resolve tomorrow's issues, because tomorrow hasn't even come yet. Tomorrow is like a whole, it's tomorrow is a feeling. Doesn't even exist. Tomorrow is just like, it's like a thing that people use as a way to control your behaviors today. Yeah, what you do today will also tell you what's going to happen tomorrow, but you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow because things could change. You have no control over what happens tomorrow. Yes, what you do today will reflect what tomorrow is going to be, but even the best laid plans you have can go to shit. So it's really living moment by moment, but having the tools to know how to deal with moment by moment. And that's the beauty of J Juice, is where you will have the tools to deal with the future, whichever direction it goes to, because you already resolved your past. The past doesn't exist. I mean, it exists, but it doesn't. It's been resolved in body, mind, and spirit. So now all you're doing is living for now, which will then translate into the future. And then what happens is the future and now become intermixed. And there really is no difference between the two because the future is now. Okay? And then the past is resolved. So now there's no past, present, and future. Now there's just future and now mixed together. And let's just call it now. And then living in the present moment is one of the most amazing gifts. It's the most amazing gifts. And so that's the beauty of J Juice is living for the present, living for now, understanding balance. When people say living for now, what do you mean that you buy everything that you want? No, because even buying things, acquiring things is imbalance when you don't need it. The whole point of J Juice is to use exactly what you need with a little bit of cushion for a just in case. But even then, there's no amount of money that's going to handle the just in case. So it's being balanced in your spending habits, being balanced in your acquisition habits. It's being balanced in everything. And so that is a freedom right there. When you don't feel you have to go and squirrel away, and where you don't feel you have to go and spend because you have this consumer thing in you that you got to do the spending because it's filling a hole. When you acquire stuff, it's filling a hole. When you're looking for love, it's filling a hole. A lot of different habits and addicts are trying to fill a hole. And so the addiction of people, the addiction of drugs, the addiction of sex and all the things that people pleasure chase for, those will calm down, go to the wayside, and then it's only on an as needed basis based upon your environment and the people you're with. And hopefully the people that you're with are, they're not totally imbalanced, but most people are not doing the J juice, so you're gonna have to deal with people who are in your life. And if they're that imbalanced, then you make decisions. If they're not, if they're relatively, and you're able to draw your own boundaries, then hey, it works. But JJ's will help everybody deal with the environment they're in and deal with the fluctuations without going overboard in reactions. And that's probably one of the most amazing freedoms that I could tell you right now that I'm experiencing. But it took me doing some really hard stuff the last couple weeks. The COVID brought up some stuff. So did the riots and George Floyd's diet and the racism stuff brought up a lot of stuff within my own world. And so you'll be faced with things that you probably haven't faced before. You'll be letting people go out of your life that you probably don't want to let go because you're so used to having them. It's an addiction for whatever reason. Okay? And so it's an amazing thing. So, if that's my verbal video testimony. And then you'll recognize those who are addicted to drugs. And you'll recognize those who do have major imbalances. And you really don't engage unless you are exercising your debating skills. Because when you see me engage with people who at the very end tell me exactly who they were, but they told me who they were to begin with. When anyone tries to debate me and says something completely opposite on my Facebook, that already tells me that they're a troll and they want to debate. And I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to engage. The reason why is I need to exercise and clarify and flush out my thought process. Because sometimes you're not sure about your thought process, and so you have to actually go through the process. You have to flush it out. You have to verbalize it. You have to speak it and see what you get back. And so when that girl, Liola Klimoke, that's her name, Liola Klimoke, I'm saying her name is because that way you're probably friends with her on my Facebook. But when I said that laws are facts, and then she had to refute and say, but not all laws are facts. And I'm like, name me a law that isn't a fact. And I put in a bunch of stuff, and then she goes, Mary Jane for one. And then I knew exactly, the Mary Jane laws. Hey, it's a law or not. There's no perception. It's either it's illegal to smoke pot or it's not illegal to smoke pot. Either you broke the law or you didn't. And so I then figured out, and I looked up, I Googled law definition, I Googled fact definition, and they are one of the same. Now, not that I didn't know, I did know, but I needed to prove it and substantiate it. because if you're going to make a statement, then you have to prove it. And so with the law, laws are black and white. Whether or not you are guilty of breaking the law is perception based upon evidence, facts. And sometimes perception, can also help convict somebody or exonerate somebody. And so that was what I explained. And so I was able to really flesh out exactly the difference between laws and facts and then people's perceptions of whether or not it should be a law or not, which is not even the point. Laws are facts. Either it is or it isn't. Just like a poll. A poll is a poll. It's a noun. It's a fact. It's a law. This is a poll. Okay? And it's made of metal. It's made of, elements. It's either long or short. But a poll is a poll. And so it either is or it isn't. Okay? And but the color of the pole and whether it's long or short is based upon perception. So that's why I understand parts of speech, nouns and verbs versus adjectives and adverbs. Okay, adverbs and adjectives are perceptions where you can give your opinion, and then nouns and verbs are the fact. It either is running or it's not running. Either it is a pole or it's not a pole. Either is a law or not a law. I mean, these are the way you organize and understand, your feelings versus the actual laws is the beauty of J juice. And then, when if and when you choose to have a second career, you might naturally gravitate towards the careers that are very logical. Engineering, science, law, any other career out there that's very exact, that doesn't take into account feelings. And art is feelings, just so you guys know. So you have the exact logical, sciences and chemistry and law, and then you have all the art world and the writing and the creativity, and that all has to do with feelings and biochemistry. And the more messed up you are, the better your art is. And that's kind of why there's an issue with those that are very, very artistic, who don't want who kind of like their their fluctuations, the chaos, because it keeps them artistic. And so I can see it's hard for them to articulate something logical because it's easier to come out in art than it is to actually put together a lot of stuff on their own. And I get that's going to be a challenge for some of you who lean more to the art world, who lean more to the feelings world. Okay? When you're so into your feelings, it's difficult to latch on to the logic of our society. But you have to have a balance. You must have a balance of logic, art. That's the whole body, mind, and spirit. You see out there in the world, people are specializing in the art world, and that's all they're doing. People specialize in academia and intellect, so that's all they're doing. They don't, they really don't conjoin the two. You might have a little bit of artistic ability just by the very nature of inventions, but inventions, not many people invent things out there. It does take somebody that like a couple of years ago, I invented the J juice, but it wasn't from logic. It was the fact that I had a feeling. I had a feeling. Yes, you can live indefinitely. I had a feeling based upon my experience when my first did the J juice that I was onto something. But to substantiate in a logical form, that took 4 years for me to do that. I had to exercise the logic bone because I was so artistic. That's the point of J juice, is that it doesn't only just expound on your current talents, because your current talents could be based on an imbalance of your biochemistry, but to exercise all parts of your body, mind, and spirit, both sides of your brain, the left and the right, not just one side. Okay, where you conjoin both hemispheres. And so that's the beauty of JJ's, where you can conjoin both hemispheres and enjoy both sides of life and strengthen both sides. So that way you're able to not only convey, but you're also able to then artistically put things together. And so that's probably what my biggest advice to those of you who are on either side of that spectrum, whether you're so logical and you have a hard time being artistic and getting to your feelings, and some of you who are so full of your feelings and you're so into the art and the aesthetics, and you're not really exercising the logic, the putting together the sentences so you convey an idea. So now I understand why it is some of you have trouble, bringing those two worlds together, because you need to up your intake of the J juice. You need to really hone in on exercising and um, exercising that part of your brain. If that means just writing out a journal every day and putting together sentences every day to convey something, if that means, that you do your own video diaries just to yourself so you can learn how to hear yourself. If that means, yeah, writing a journal every day, writing exactly your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams, what you hope to convey, to the world, to change yourself. Or, I mean, I don't know. So you guys know what you do every day, what it is, that you have to um, exercise and strengthen. Because it's not about ignoring your weaknesses and strengthening your strengths, because that's an imbalanced way of doing things. It's strengthening your weaknesses. That's the point of J juice, is strengthening your weaknesses. You can acknowledge that you may have a weakness in some area, and then once you acknowledge that, then work on strengthening that. And then I notice how people's reactions. People are like, "Well, how do you know that my background is my education and this and that and that?" You know, how can you possibly know? And I'm like, people's reactions tell me exactly they've been trained by the system. When someone was saying to me, on Luke Radowski's page, that how do you know anything about me? You don't know anything about me. How can you say that you know this and that? Because your reactions. When people are trained in the system and they have a certain education, they're going to have a reaction to my information. They're going to have a reaction to a lot of things that challenge their truths. And so you can tell by people's reactions exactly how trained and shaped and tunneled they are from the system. And so it doesn't make sense to go and pick up and go off grid and have your own little society when you've been trained by the system to do exactly what you're doing, and then you go recreate the same system somewhere else. That doesn't make sense. Okay? So it's like you'll be very, very astute in picking up nuances of other people, and then your debate skills get better. And you're not going to spend your life debating, but that is kind of exercising that bone in your body. Some of you want to stay away from confrontation, but maybe you need to face the confrontation. And if it means it with strangers, not with your family, do it. Because some of you don't want the responsibility of arguing with strangers. Because when you argue with strangers, you're feeling that you're being bad. No, you're just actually, because you can't change a stranger's mind, but you learn the art of debate and imparting logic, and then putting the appropriate, feelings if you have to. And then when you finally get control of both sides of your brain, then you're not trying to resolve problems in your dreams. You resolve them in the now. That's the beauty of J juice. Is you're finally out of your dreams, and you're, what is it? Is it Huey Lewis or Bruce Springsteen say, "Get out of my head, get out of my dreams, get into my car," right? Well, that's exactly what it is. Your dreams are not going to hold as much weight anymore because you've resolved your issues in the daylight, in the daytime. That's the beauty of J juice. Is that you're not fighting these fights because you already won the battle within, and now you're adapting. You're figuring out your future. I mean, what is depression? Depression is where you have no hope for the future. Well, I was depressed a few years ago because I was so sick with PMDD. I had no hope for the future. So depression was very easy to come by. Now I'm just like, I'm writing about how the system is, writing about people's reactions, and what micro level, macro level is, and individualism, and really bring together all the context so you see everything is connected, that you don't have to live in these little functional silos with very shallow cross-functional communication. And I'm bringing in the things that I was exposed to through my years of what developed the J juice, and then showing how the system likes to brainwash you through sentences. The medical holistic industry has hidden directives within the sentences, and just by breaking up the parts of speech and realizing that if you have 33 and a third percent adjectives in a sentence, you're being sold a perception with somebody's intention to sell you something. I mean, it's like, holy crap. And so that's fun, where I'm able to, and it's a lot of work to break things down to its most infinitesimal, It's like, taking a human and then doing an autopsy and looking at every single cell and going like, okay, what made this cell this way? What made this organ this way? That's what I'm doing, is I'm dissecting the system. That's fun to me. But you may have some other fun out there or something that you enjoy that's going to help humanity go forward. But that's going to take you resolving the battles within. That's going to take you merging the left and the right hemisphere. So you're not just exercising the feelings, 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 and you're not just exercising the logic, logic, logic. You're bringing both together to where you can be creatively logical. That's the beauty of JJ's, is being creatively logical and substantiate your logic and substantiate your creativity through logic and vice versa. So that's why I say, look at your Facebook. Be mindful of what you post on Facebook. When you look at your Facebook, is it all about your pictures of yourself? Is it all about the makeup? Is it all about, beauty and aesthetics? Or is there something else you can offer to the world? Your logic, your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams. And it doesn't have to be feelings like, oh my God, the life sucks. But, what it is that you, want to accomplish. What it is that you see the future for your kids. What do you hope, and what you wanted to create for the humanity out there? That's what I'm saying, is like, pay attention to your Facebook. Because when you look at your Facebook, you'll see people that are all into activism. It's all about somebody else's fault. And you see that, oh, they're all about blaming and this and that. And they're doing nothing to improve themselves. Or when they're trying to improve themselves, they're doing things like antibiotics and drugs and things that cause the anti-life aspects of their body, which is the complete antithesis of their intention. And so then you're seeing the disconnect where people's body, mind, and spirit, they have the intention to want to live, but they're applying the wrong chemistry. And so then you see that, and then it's all about, the remedies and the detoxes and the diets and then you see some of the who are all about love, 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 and they're all into their feelings and it's all about love, 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 and it's just like, oh my God, it's like syrupy, sweet, and deadly. And so then you see those people, and you realize that there's so many imbalances out there. And so could you figure out a balance on your Facebook? Because your Facebook is a reflection of your internal universe. And that's what Facebook is. It's a total data source, a reflection of humanity's imbalances. And people who right now who are very popular have very major strength in certain parts of their bodies, but they've ignored other parts of their body. So when someone is not very popular and they're abiding by the law, it's because they're not tapping into love, 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 or hate, 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 or this activist stance, or they're not so, tapping into some other strength, but they're ignoring other things. Sometimes being unpopular and saying the things that people don't want to hear is something that's going to help you resolve whatever issues that you have. The fear of not being liked. Oh my God. When you conquer that fear of not being liked, now you have the freedom. You're not held by somebody else's standards on your Facebook. You're like, oh my God, I can't say that because it's going to piss off all my truther friends. Oh, I can't say it's going to piss off my whole community in this world. Well, there's ways to say things where, yeah, it's going to challenge someone's truths, but you're not being held to their standards. So that's why I say some of you don't even want to challenge your friends and family on your Facebook, because you're too held by you're limited by their standards. You haven't developed your own standards. And that's the beauty of JJ's. You develop your own standards, you challenge people's truths as well as your own truths, and then you conjoin the left and the right hemisphere. And that's a beauty, and that's a freedom, and that's when I don't have any dreams. The only dreams I have is what I'm doing today. I don't live in yesterday. I don't live in tomorrow. The future is now. And I'm being creatively logical. And that's exactly what I want for you guys, if you choose to have it. But it takes drinking the juice, doing the waterfalls, watching my videos, resolving your cancer, disease, and chronic illness, changing your belief system that you don't have to freaking die. If you think people should die, forget it. Age is not for you. If you think that people should die someday, the J juice is not for you. But it's more than just believing in indefinite life. Now you have to put forth the work to then resolve all of your bodily issues, your mind issues, and then your spiritual issues. And then I don't know what is going to come out of that because you only know your background. You know your strengths and weaknesses and what you need to strengthen your weaknesses. And you know your influences and what you can influence and why. And you'll figure out your future. Okay. And sometimes it's just enjoying life too. But if you, I don't know. Some of you, I don't know. I wanted, I want some of you to really get to whatever next level. Some of you are close to me that I want to see you to the next level, but I can't force it. I know you're going through whatever it is you're going through, and I have to be patient. And so if I can only just, if I'm closer to you, I'm gonna push you. Some of you I'm not as close to, or I see you just peripherally on Facebook and you're sharing your story, and that's great. Um, but it's like you're doing your thing. Some of you know that, yeah, at some point, while you're like right now you're enjoying your life doing your whatever, but what else are you working on? What else do you want to accomplish? See, that's the thing. And so I want to hear that from some of you. It's like, what do you want to accomplish? What is your purpose? And you don't even have to have a purpose. You could be like, well, I know this, this, and this. So now I want to learn how to do this, this, and this. When you make declarations that you want to learn how to play the piano, or that you want to learn how to, I don't know, you want to go back to school and learn the intricacies of the law, those are declarations where you're taking the J juice and you're applying it to something that is tangible, that it holds you accountable. And say, I want to go to law school, then you're held accountable. You have to go and do the whole LSATs. You got to sit through the LSATs. You got to do all the necessary things to get you into law school. And then after you do law school, then you got to go take the bar exam. And then there's that. So, when you make declarations out there, holding yourself accountable to something, that's what puts then your future into a reality, into a now thing. Okay? And so it just, so or is your future promoting J juice in some way? I don't know. But then you have to put out a business plan on how to do that. You got to put things into you can't say one thing and do another. If you can say you're going to do this, and you have to then do a 5-year plan and say, what are you going to do today to then have it come out? And it doesn't have to be a 5-year plan. It could be like a 1-year plan. It could be a 2-year plan. But it's putting your dreams and your goals into something where the community can hold you accountable. Oh, you said you want to go to law school. Well, have you applied? Have you done the LSATs? Have you done this? Have you done that? And so some of you don't want to make any declarations because right now you don't know where you're at. And you don't want someone holding you accountable, so you're just kind of on the fence. So it's more than just living, okay? Because living is like no one holds you accountable, you're just living. But what goals are you making for yourself where you hold yourself accountable and then you have your community hold you accountable? Because I could just be like, hey, I'm done with it. I have a goal. I have a goal of getting my book out in June. It's coming out. My other goal is another book that I'm writing. And then I said, okay, after I write that other book that's going to come out early next year or late the end of this year, I'm going to take a break and enjoy my life and not feel like I have this thing over my head that I have to accomplish. Because right now I have a thing over my head I have to accomplish. I have to accomplish getting this book out and then get another book out. So I got 2 things I'm trying to accomplish right now. Okay? What are you guys trying to accomplish in your life? That's the beauty of JJ's, is where you're putting your declarations out there. So you hold yourself accountable and you hold the community accountable. And the community holds you accountable. Okay? And that's that's JJ's. Because living, just existing, isn't, I mean, yeah, living, yeah, you can do your daily routine, you do your whatever. Yeah, you can try to introduce JJ's to your circle of people, but you only have so many people in your circle. If you have 100 people in your circle, you'll eventually get through all 100, and then they're going to do what they're going to do. So then what's next? Now that you went through your 100 people that you want to introduce JJ's to, and you can't convince them, you can't market them like to that, you can't hard sell them, you can only introduce, then what's next? Then it really becomes about you. And some people don't want to face themselves. Okay. All right. That's all I got. Happy Sunday, guys. There's my sermon. All right. Bye.